Who's bringing that old school hip-hop rap? 80s, 90s, early 2000s. Keep it locked right here. DJ Immortal, live in the mix. Outlaw Radio.
All right, Outlaw Radio Live fans, we are live on the air with the legendary West Coast artist, OG Cuicide. How are you doing tonight?
Man, what's good, family? Everything good, man. Everything's good.
Oh, yeah, man. I gotta say, man, first off, what made you decide to get into the music industry?
Pretty much, I never played sports as a kid, growing up as a kid. So, music was something that, I really took a liking to. Being able to, share the life I was living and, things that I actually was going through and experiencing in life growing up in Compton. So that pretty much drove me to doing music.
And that's good though, because and that's good that you chose music. I heard a lot of people I've interviewed from Compton. They have always said that you've only had really three roles to really do when you live in that type of environment. Like sports or music.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Our hustle.
Most definitely, yeah. But at least you chose the music route, man. You're definitely good at what you do, man. You inspire a lot of other people, to keep going and keep pushing through all their hard times in their life, man. Your music is most definitely a stepping stone, man. It most definitely helps other individuals.
Yeah, I mean, it's important. The way I look at it, me, going through the things I went through, the cards I was dealt, and I'm being able, was able to actually take a negative and turn it into a positive. And then sometimes people say, well, wow, how did he do this? Like, how did he, come from the tragical life that he lived, the obstacles that he faced, and created success behind it. So that's what the music is for, it's a dictionary, of life experience that a lot of people can relate to, and they can listen to it over and over and over again and really get the message out of it.
And I have to ask you, the name OG Cuicide, what's the story behind that name?
I'm actually a suicide survivor. When I was 22, I actually shot myself in the head. I grew up, pretty much when I was abandoned when I was 18 months, and I was found in an apartment, pretty much days later. Me and my older brother, which we was took by Children's Services and the authorities and placed in a temporary foster home, and then they eventually end up adopting me. And growing up in Compton, I was gangbanging. I was really living that life, selling drugs, shootouts, getting shot at, shooting at people. And it got to a point to where my adopted mom, who was, my heart, Essie Price, she would, she loved me right or wrong, didn't matter. But at the time she was sick and her daughters was in control of her house. So they pretty much had put me out and no other place to go but the streets. So, I lived pillar to post. I robbed and stealed and did everything to stay afloat. But it still always felt like something was missing. Not only the thought of, why my life, turned out this way, but also, just not having a actual family structure, no support. I mean, I was pillar to post. I done slept on porches. I done slept in garages. I done slept in cars, many of floors. And life was, at that time, it really felt like, I had came to the end of my road. Like there was no purpose for me to continue on. Like I really felt like I was taking up space, in the world. And people say it never get that bad. But if you ain't never walked in them shoes and really know what it feels like to come from my lifestyle, then, people, wouldn't understand. So it got to a point, man, December the 31st, 1991, I was 22. I had just turned 22 and in July. And it got to a point to where, like I said, I really felt like there was no purpose in life. It's like the devil took over me and took control of my mind and my thought process. And December the 31st, 1991, I actually took
I do want to say that's a very deep story, but I am very, very glad that you're still here with us, man. I really am. I'm glad that you flipped the script, and you know what I mean. You made all the bad into good, and then now you're helping other people and inspiring other people, man. I'm so glad you're still here with us.
Oh yeah, that was my purpose, that was the whole purpose of why I'm still here. My true calling, I love music, I love doing music, I love making music, but the actual true calling for me is sharing my life story and helping others and reaching out to others, because many of times I have talked people out of committing suicide, and I mean from different nationalities from all around the world, Nigeria, Russia, you name it, just all around the world, man, third world countries. I mean, I have people that reach out to me that have seen my story and, heard my story, or seen my interviews or heard my music, and they reach out to me and they really be blown away because I respond back to them. And I contact them, and I get on the phone with them, and we have really serious conversations about what they're going through or what they're experiencing in life, and I just express to them, like, you can't really put a time frame on when success will happen, but I guarantee you, as long as you're doing what you need to do to get through the struggle and striving, and keep putting one foot in front of the other, going after success, it will happen. And there's nothing in this world that you can experience to ever make you want to take your life.
And that's some really great advice. And I have to ask for when we're on this topic, there might be some people that are listening to this, whether it's live or on demand afterwards, that might have those feelings. What's some really good advice you can actually give some of these people that are feeling suicidal? Like, what's some advice you'd tell them right now?
Call me. Call me. Call me. Hit me up on Instagram. My personal cell phone number that I'm talking to you on right now, family, is 310-938-9376. Or if they want to go to my Instagram, which is OG Suicide. They could go to my Instagram and, they can reach out to me there, or if they want, they could pick up the phone and they could give me a call directly, family, because life gets better, especially our young people, man. We have a lot of young people that's being bullied in school and feel like they don't know who to talk to. They're scared. They don't want to be, people threaten them. If you tell somebody I'm going to harm you, I'm going to hurt you, or if you tell somebody you'll snitch. But don't ever fear no one in life. Don't ever be at a point in your life where you're scared to talk to somebody. I've had someone reach out to me that was 14 years old that was being bullied in school, and they were scared, and they really were scared to talk to their parents. They were scared to talk to the school, so they reached out to me, and I talked to them, and I asked them, okay, I understand that, you fear this person that's actually picking at you, but can you do me one favor? Can you give me the number to your school and let me contact your school and let them know what's going on? I'll take full responsibility of that matter and help you fight through it, get through it, and resolve it. And I did. I contacted the school, and I spoke to someone, and, they was in another state, and I'm here in California, and they really took it serious because they like, wow, this is someone in a whole nother state reaching out to the school to let us know what's going on. And the matter was resolved. And the young guy, his parents reached out to me and, was really just really shocked. Like, wow, there is good people in this world. And they was really happy of what I've done. So anyone that's going through something, call me or reach out to me on Instagram.
I do have to say this, man. I grew up getting bullied at home and at school. I grew up in foster homes and group homes myself, majority of my life. I got gave up when I was 8 years old, man, and I wish there was people around then like you that I could have contacted to talk to, man. So from like briefly, this is me going off script. I actually want to say thank you, man, for helping these youngsters, man, because I wish I had that when I was a kid.
Most definite. But it's good, what you're doing as well, because you created a platform that people like myself and other people, other entertainers, just other people in general, that can reach people that probably never heard of, never heard of me, or heard of other entertainers in the game, that can actually learn and know who we are. And I do this from the heart. A lot of people in this game, they pretend to help people. They pretend to, help the youth. They do it like cameras action, when the cameras is on, when the news and media is there to make themselves look good. I do this every day from the heart. Also, along with taking care of my children and my grandkids, my wife, my family, and everyone I love. And I don't do it for a pat on the back. I don't do it for a profit. I just do it from the heart, because this is what I'm still here for. I'm still here for a reason, and this right now is my reason.
And the reason why I do my show is because when I had nobody, hip-hop was what made me happy. Listening to music, I realized when you hear the bullies talking and chirping and making fun of you, you can see their lips moving, but you can't hear them when you have headphones on. Hip-hop was my release. Hip-hop was my escape, and I feel that me doing this show, me giving individuals like yourself and other rappers a voice, is my way to give back. It's my way to say thank you for everything their music has done for me.
That's good, man. I'm glad to hear that, family. Really am.
And I have to also ask, I'm getting into the other questions. Your very first song recorded in a real studio was released in 1987 with late mix master Spade. How did you and Spade get connected? What's the story behind that?
Well, it's a restaurant in Compton. It used to be in Compton. It was called Tony's. In the 80s, if you was from Compton, I don't care if you was from the east side of Compton. I'm from the west side of Compton. I don't care if you was from the east side or whatever side of Compton you was from. It don't matter. Crip, blood, Hispanic, it don't matter. In the 80s, everybody went to Tony's to get the breakfast. That was the spot in the morning. Everybody that was somebody that was coming up in the music game or just, well-known street people. I was a well-known person from the streets. And this was the eating spot everybody used to come to. So Spade used to come up there. And, we would chop it up. And, I would told him, I was messing with the music. And I would go to the studio, with him. And also my bro, man, Gangster, who eventually became a part of the group, the Comrades. Man, Gangster used to go to the studio all the time back in 87 as well. But my first, song that I ever recorded, most definitely, was with Mixmaster Spade. He's the first person to put me in a recording studio.
And Gangsta from the Comrades, man. I had the pleasure of having him on the show live. I'd say about 6 months ago, but last year. He's a very, very nice guy, but he's really he just gets right into it, man. Very, very high energy guy, but very great guy to interview, man. Very cool guy.
That's cool. Oh yeah, good peoples. Good peoples.
You can never go wrong with the Comrades. Never go wrong with the Comrades. So in 1992, you met R&B singer and songwriter Leon Haywood, CEO of Eve Jim Records. How did you get connected with him, and what was it like working with him?
It was amazing, man. Haywood was well known. He had put out the bat around for Tidy T. So, Haywood was merging into working with rap artists. So me and my boy Lee, after my, suicide attempt, that's what really got me to take my career serious. That's what really made me wanted to share my life story, and not just be about music, but be a walking testimony. So we started Lee. They camp was called the Dope Fiends. The tracks that Lee used to produce, man, was so powerful. So we put together some songs and recorded them, and we took them to Leon Haywood to let Leon Haywood hear them. And that was in '93. And Haywood really liked what he heard and told me he wanted to sign me to his label. He wanted to put me on his label. And, we started going up there every day, working and putting music together. He's like the first person to actually open up a studio to me and tell me to do what I want in the studio. And we created, back then they was putting out the maxi singles with 4 songs on it. So we put that out in '94. We dropped it in '93 and started pushing it, but in '94 was the actual release of it. And Haywood, man, is who taught me the game. He taught me this music game. He taught me about publishing, my writer's credits, my contracts. He the one that embraced me and became a godfather to me, and taught me the business part of it. Because he said you can't do music if you don't know the business part of it. Don't just be an artist. Be business with it. Be business minded. And I took that in. And right now to this day, man, he's the reason I got a lot of people that reach out to me that may not have a lawyer, can't afford a lawyer, that will reach out to me to help them with their contracts, because that's something I do. I teach artists to register your music with Nielsen. Make sure the contract is looked over before you sign it. Make sure you get your publishing, set it up. ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, Harry Fox Agency. Do it the right way the first time, so you don't have to come back and redo it again. So, man, I'm very honored that Leon Haywood took me under the wing like that and became, my godfather, man. And it was a trip, too, because when he passed, Associated Press had reached out to me because they didn't want to put the story out that Leon Haywood had passed without it being accurate. So I'm pretty much was one person that they looked up and seen. I don't know where they seen it at, but seeing that I was his godson. And they reached out to me to clarify that Leon Haywood had passed, and I told him yes, he passed at home. And next thing you know, I was getting calls from everybody. Like the press it was just flooded, over the internet, that Leon Haywood had passed, and it was, pretty much it was vouched for by his godson, Cuicide, and oh yeah, man, I'll never forget him. Ever in life, man, that never.
And I want to say first off, rest in peace to Leon. Like they say, the good die young. He sounds like an amazing individual, a guy that really
amazing,
kind of like a guy that would really break his back for you, man. So, rest in peace.
And he was a big R&B singer. He had the Bad Mama Jama record, I Want to Do Something Freaky to You. Like, them was humongous records in the 70s. He was a humongous entrepreneur and R&B singer. Mm-hmm.
And also in '95, you released a self-titled album called Cuicide. What's the story?
Final Exit. That was on Eve Jam. That was the whole album that Haywood had released. We did the maxi single in '94, but in in '95 is when we dropped the official album. And right now, to this day, man, that album is still a classic. And it came out on cassette tape. It's never been out on CD. I'm getting ready to put it out on CD for the first time ever. The full album for the first time ever in life has been on a CD.
Well, we're on that.
And
topic.
the album is so rare. The album is so rare, man. I've seen a couple of times. I've seen my cassette tape from collectors in different countries that have had that cassette tape online for like $800. I've had people that still reach out to me right now to this day wanting to pay me $500 for a cassette tape of that album.
People are wanting it, like they really want it bad.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the collectors overseas, they will always love the music of the 90s. Because that's what they look for, and that's what they love to collect, because it's rare and it's valuable.
And while we're on that topic, if you don't mind me asking, when you do bring it out, where will it be available for purchase? Those CDs. That way, our listeners can actually grab themselves a copy.
Well, all the CDs, like I got the OGs or Forever CDs. I also have my Wonder Why album for sale too, that came out in '99 with Executive Entertainment, Big Jess and Droop. That album as well. So I'll have the CDs, so they can hit me up directly, or they can pick up the album at Amoeba Music in Hollywood on Sunset Boulevard. Amoeba Music is one of the last of the record stores out here on the West Coast that still represent.
Sounds bad. It's a dying breed, unfortunately.
Yes, but overseas, like it'll be another 20 years before CDs play out. But CDs are gonna come back, just like 12-inch are coming back out here on the West Coast. People are really starting to print up 12 inches. I'm about to print up some. They're coming back.
And it's crazy. Like, we used to have kind of like a little HMV here in Canada, but it was called Music World, and that was like my go-to place. That was like our mom and pop shop, Music World.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man. It was
Music World.
It actually had a lot. It was almost like an HMV, but it's like a Canadian version. It's kind of like, yeah. But that was kind of my CD spot. You go there, you can get some of the local artists as well. Also from all around Canada, the kind of low budget people, and then you can get like artists like yourself and all back. Oh man, those are the good days, man. Those are the good days. That's all I could say.
Most definite.
So also, prior to the passing of Eazy-E, you were negotiating a deal to get signed with Ruthless Records. In that brief time, what was it like being around Eazy-E?
Man, Eazy was a good dude, man. We used to always go up to Audio Achievement, the studio in Torrance, and hang out with him. And also, we used to always go to the Ruthless radio show. Eazy was a good dude, man. Very, very smart when it came to business. Very smart when it came to business. And, he heard a bunch of my music, and he wanted to sign me. He wanted to sign me. He wanted to sign my god sister, Lacey Loke. And we pretty much, I was in negotiation, and I had my god brother, old man from my neighborhood, who raised me, negotiating that contract and that deal with Eazy. So everything was in negotiation for this deal, because he was going to sign me to Ruthless, and then everything pretty much, hit the fan the way it did. And that was a shock, how all that happened.
And I have to ask with Eazy, I've interviewed people that work with Eazy, and they said nothing but amazing things about him. A lot of the media really portrayed Eazy-E as such a ruthless, mean individual. Like, could you tell our audience what Eazy was really like behind the cameras? You know what I mean?
I mean, they only portrayed him as that because of the impact his music made on people. Just look at, a lot of the music that made them successful, that got them and created who they are today. That music right there, Eazy was a solid dude, man. He just, he spoke from the heart. Dre and everybody, like it's showing the movie, Eazy didn't really want to get into music, but he had the voice for it. And with the voice and everybody come together as a team, and before you know it, and you looked up, man, Rufus Records was the household name. You know, it was untouchable. It was a household name, man, that was respected. But no, if he was so bad of a person like that, you remember he got invited to the White House for a luncheon. And pretty much, you know, they said that, well, nobody really knew that was him because they knew him as Eazy-E and not Eric Wright, which is his real name. But how is that possible? You can't just go to the White House unless they thoroughly know who you are.
That's true.
You're not getting in. You're not getting in.
Like you can stand outside and look at it, but you're not getting in.
Yeah, you can stand outside and look at it, but to get on the inside, yeah, they thoroughly know who you are. You know, for sure. So they knew who he was. So he really wasn't that bad of a person. He did used to donate money, you know, to help foundations and help people.
And then, you know what I mean? And it's terrible how the media really portrays people, you know? It's kind of sad, you know, that they can't just show who the person really is.
Well, I mean, the media is cold because one reason on my suicide situation, what made me start giving out my personal number is I reached out to some suicide hotlines, and I wanted to volunteer for these hotlines. They tried to charge me $150 to train me. They said, yeah, we would love for you to volunteer, but we would need you to, you would have to pay, you know, $150 for us to train you. I said, well, what can you possibly train me in? I'm self-experienced. If anything, I could train y'all.
It's the truth.
And then when it comes to the media, the news, a while back I reached out to the Channel 5 News, and I spoke to a gentleman. He never told me his name, but I spoke to a gentleman. And, you know, I told him my story, like, hey, how you doing? I'm such and such. I'm OG Suicide, recording artist OG Suicide. I'm a suicide activist. I'm standing up and pushing for never give up in the fight against suicide. And I'm trying to find out, is there any way possible that I can come down and be interviewed by y'all to try to help save some lives? This dude told me, bro, and if I would have been standing in front of him personally, he'd have had an issue that he wouldn't have been ready for with me. But this dude told me, well, actually, it's not news to us till after it happens.
Wow.
That bothered me. So you mean to tell me y'all would rather see a life be taken? That's more important to you, someone taking a life, than actually saving a life? I was blew away.
See, you know what?
I said from there on,
you should try and prevent that. You know, like you said, they should have gave you that interview to help prevent it. Because to me personally, you know what I mean? News would be rather having you there to be like, look, if you need someone to talk to, you know what I mean? Here's my number, call me. That's
yes.
News, man. I'm trying to be professional. There's a lot of things I want to say, but I'm going to be professional, want to not say it. But that's to say that's completely not right what that individual said. And I don't blame you for being upset. I would probably have an issue if I was there as well. But in 1996, you wrote a hook on the One Mo N To Go album by DJ Yella. What was it like working with the legendary DJ Yella from NWA?
Well, I've been knowing DJ Yella for years. You know, he grew up in Compton, you know, a few blocks away, you know, up in Compton. So I've always known Antoine Carey, like, you know, many years. So it was good. And, you know, I was at the house, and him and my god sister, Lacey Loke, they was working on the album for Easy. And they was at the studio, and Yellow was kind of stuck. Like, man, what should we put? Like, what, he was trying to come up with a hook. So he was like, you know what? I'm gonna call OG Suicide. He hit me up, had me to come down. I came down. He started playing the beat for me, and man, I knocked the hook out probably in about 5 minutes, and he cashed me out, and I was gone.
And that album's really underrated as well. I do have to say that. A lot of people don't even know DJ
It is.
made a record, but it's such a for his first attempt at rapping, he did very, very well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really do think that was one heck of a great homage to the late great Eazy-E. So if you guys haven't heard that, anybody listening, it's one more end to go. You guys know the rest of the word. I'm not saying it, but head on over to YouTube, check that out. It's a very, very, very amazing album.
Oh yeah, it is.
Most definitely one of my favorites. Like I used to have my old CD copy back in the day, but unfortunately I moved so many times I lost it. But most definitely had quite a few plays in the CD player.
That's cool. That's cool. Super cool.
You also got offered $350,000 for a record deal by Priority Records. If you don't mind me asking, why did you turn that record deal down?
No, well, it was more than 50,000. It was 350,000.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, it was 350,000 with Priority. Well, I turned that deal down. For one, I was with Executive Entertainment, Big Jess and Droop's label. And Big Jess had just got incarcerated. So he pretty much, had told me, like, man, they want to sign you. He like, man, if you want to do that side, like, he said, I'm all for it, man. I'm with it. But me, no. I'm loyal, man. My bro had just got locked up. So I'm not going to bounce on him like that. We had the studio in Gardena, and we were still pushing the music. So I'm not going to jump ships like that, man. I'm loyal to the soil. I'm from the old school. So I turned it down. I said, I'm cool. I'm going to rock with it. Yeah, like I said, my bro was locked up, and I'm loyal to the soil, man. I wasn't going to jump ships. So I was cool on that deal, man. I stayed and held the studio down, and until it was time for us we had to actually close the studio. So yeah, I'm loyal, man, out here. That's all I know is loyalty, family. That's where I come from. So yeah, I told him I'm good on that deal. Bro was like, Big Jess was like, side, like, if that's what you want to do, it's a good thing. I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good. I'm good, man.
And you were featured also on the album called album compilation, called West Coast Never Dies. What was it like doing that project with tons of other legendary individuals like yourself?
Man, it was good, man. We did that with Death Trap down in Houston. I mean, it was A1. It was really A1, man. It was good. It was good. It's work. It's what I love to do.
Hey, man, and that was a great album as well, man. Great album. Like, I had such tons of legendary West Coast individuals on that record.
Yeah, that album is filled up with us on there. It really is.
I actually called that the West Coast Overload.
Yeah. That's a good concept. Very good concept.
So you were also the executive producer and creator of the One West movement and brand. What made you decide to start that movement, and what services do you currently offer?
I mean, I created, One West, the movement, man, is I wanted to bring everybody together as one. Because years back, it was a thing going on, man, which social media kind of was pumping it up, where they was trying to create, the young against the old against the young, which didn't make sense. It was cats was, it's all about the new school, or no, it's all about the old school. When one thing everybody got to respect there wouldn't be no school without the old school.
That's true.
You know, you got to respect that. So I put the One West album together and bring people together, young and old. You know, because I'm well respected. The respect people got for me. So I wanted to seesaw that nonsense. You know, cats getting into it on social media about, you know, who's better, old or the young, which, like, nah, we good on that. And the brand took off. You know, the album took off, was a big success behind it, very, very powerful. And from there, I wanted to create a clothing line, you know, to keep it going. So I pretty much came with the clothing line. And that really took off, and especially overseas. It's humongous, you know, overseas, the clothing. And in what year? 2013, me and my bro, Epidemic, you know, we was talking about doing a magazine. I wanted to do a magazine. So originally, we was going to do a magazine, and the name I had came with was called Get Familiar. Pretty much get familiar with the people in this magazine. And he came with a good idea. Well, you already got the One West brand, and it's already moving. So why not we just piggyback off that? And that's what we end up doing. So we created One West magazine. And what really made that magazine like take off was a powerful story that I had in the magazine with the real Tony Montana, the real Scarface. And everybody was blew away about that, because when you see the movie, you think like, oh, okay, he's from Cuba, oh, big drug dealer. When actually, who also became a godfather to me, the real Tony Montana was from Chicago. He was a part of the organization in Chicago called the Outfit. So, and he wasn't from Cuba, and he's never sold drugs a day in his life. Very smart. Before he passed in April of last year, he was writing some movies too for Hollywood, mafia movies, because he really was amongst that lifestyle. So that right there pretty much made the magazine take off. It had Barnes and Nobles wanting to know, who is this guy from Compton that has created this brand, this One West brand, and you know, and got, not only is this they say urban magazine, West Coast magazine, a magazine about music, fashion, and lifestyle, but they got the real Tony Montana in here. So that really caught the eyes and attention, and from there it's just been booming.
And speaking of booming, your newest album is called OGs Are Forever. I have to ask, where can our listeners buy a digital or hard copy of that amazing record?
Digitally, they can get it off Apple Music. They can get CDs. They can reach out to me directly and get the actual CD. And they can stream it on Spotify. OGs Are Forever. Stream it on Spotify. And most definite, you know, that's where they can get it from.
All right, perfect. I just like asking because I already marked it down as well. When I get paid from work, I'm going to hit you up for a hard copy. I believe I already talked to you about that, but I wrote that down so I remember, because I need myself a hard copy of that one for sure.
Oh yeah. It's a must-have, family. It's a must-have for sure.
It most definitely, you know, has some such inspirational songs on that really will like help so many people through so many hard times. Like the content in that CD is just, it's phenomenal.
Oh yeah, you know, I spent 3 years recording that CD.
3 years? Well, you know what? Honestly,
I spent
with
3
the content
years
in it, you can really actually tell it has a lot of time put into it.
Yeah, I spent 3 years because we did it. And we was working on the songs and putting them together, and I'm like, no, it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. Then, in that third year, I would ride and just listen to the music sometime. And sometime when I listen to my music, I don't listen to my music as OG Suicide. I listen to my music as someone on the outside looking in, listening in to what's being created. And when I listen to the music, I really be like, okay, like, this really speaks volume. Like, one of my songs on the album, Sometimes, like, that's one of my records right there, man.
Oh yeah, that's actually a really, really great song. I also like Tragedy as well. Know My Pain is another one of my absolute favorites.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Know My Pain. Oh yeah. Keep It G. Me and my nephew AD is getting ready to shoot a video too here real soon for Keep It G.
Oh, nice. I do have to say the song Tragedy, man, it really hits close to home with me when you talk about growing up in foster homes and, like that really hits close to home, but in a good way, I'm glad to hear, artists are really bringing those type of topics into their songs, man.
Well, it's all about what you've been through. Because, a lot of people get mad at the young artists of today. I don't get mad at them. For one, they don't make music for us, I would say myself, is because they never been through nothing. So that's why they don't make music of substance. But they're doing something. They're catering to the younger generation that's into that music. So I don't knock them. I don't hate them. A lot of people be like, oh, they trash. Like, really, technically, they're not. They're making music. They're making music for their fan base. Like a lot of the young cats, quite a bit of them was in college. They was college students that started a music career in college and started doing the college tours and blew up. And from there, signed deals. And from there, became household names. You can't take nothing from them. And I don't try to. There's a lane for everybody. But what really irks me is when I see people, especially older people, trying to copy the younger generation. That right there is annoying. They want to talk about them, but then they want to level. That's not how it's supposed to go. People, I don't try to get on nobody's level. It's about getting on my level. You ain't never been through nothing or experienced nothing, don't know nothing about growing up in foster homes or anything like that. I'm not mad at people that don't understand that because they never been through that. I don't get mad at the young dudes' music. More power to everybody, man. It's all about success. No matter who you are, no matter your nationality, shape, form, nor fashion. Do what you do.
And that's the truth. OG, I have to ask you, what's next for you? Like, what's next on the list for OG Suicide? Anything you want to let our listeners know about while we still have you here?
Yeah, next for me is I'm gonna get back into my acting. I recently, I don't know if you've been on my Instagram, but I just recently posted some headshots, some new photos I done by Jerry D Photography, and ready to drop the Still Standing album. With my bro, man, the Native Voodoo Nation. That's the label, Voodoo Nation LLC. That's my brother from another mother, the Native. We getting ready to put the Still Standing EP together with 7 songs on it. The Native's dropping his album. Epidemic's dropping his album. My son, he's 23. He's in the studio right now working. And he's getting ready to, drop some songs. So he's been in the studio, real heavy, putting some music together, which I'm very proud of him. Very proud of him. Very proud of him. So it's gonna look good. 2020 it's really looking good, family. But like I said, back into my acting. I've done several films. Death by Association was one film I did in 2010. Very, very, very energetic movie. I actually killed myself in the movie after pointing a gun at someone. We arguing back and forth, and he was my little homie in the movie, and he ended up with my little sister, and I got mad. And we going back and forth with guns at each other. And when I go to pull the trigger, I end up shooting my little sister. And she died. She was pregnant. So I ended up taking my life in the film. But it's called Death by Association. Very intense film. Hood film.
Is that film
also did Operation... I know they had it online. I don't know what they're doing, but... Like I said, I'm getting ready to, also in 2002, another good friend of mine that wanted to sign me to Desert Hawk Entertainment, which is the father of the Jacksons, Joe Jackson. I brought Joe Jackson to Houston, Texas in 2002 to finish the movie Diamonds from the Bantus, which featured him, Todd Bridges, Stoney Jackson, and several others. And I played a role in there as well. And that film was, Mr. Jackson passed. So unfortunately, I don't know what's going on with the film. But that also was another film that was major.
And I also have to ask OG, so this is the time in the interview that I give a chance for the individual that comes on my show, a chance to give shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to, and also their social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you on all social media platforms if they're not already doing that.
Most definite, man. Shout-out, man, I want to give a shout-out to the world. To everybody breathing. I want to give a shout-out to the world, family. Is the most definite, man. My wife of 25 years, my kids, my grandkids, and everybody, man, that supports OG Suicide. That everyone, man, that supports me, that stream my music or supports it. However you show your support, man, that's most definitely who I want to shout out. And everybody, man, hit me on Instagram. I'm always on Instagram, man. OGCuicide. OGCuicide. Hit me on Instagram.
I want to say, OG, thank you so much in advance. Thank you so much for coming up on Outlaw Radio Live, man. It's such an honor and a blessing to have such an amazing and talented individual like yourself on my show. Hope you have yourself a wonderful night, man, and I'm looking forward to getting that record of yours. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, most definitely, yo. I'm over here now, man. The wife made some enchiladas, so I'm making some Spanish rice and some refried beans right now, man, so we can feast.
Oh, most definitely. You enjoy that feast, OG. Thank you again for coming on the show, man.
Anytime, man. Anytime. Thank you for the invite. Appreciate it.
You're most certainly welcome, man. Have yourself a wonderful night.
You too.